took care of him.
Oh, good. That's the best piece of news we've had around here for a good long time.
Oh, I'm going in naked. Fingers crossed I get superpowers.
I know you're joking, but as a doctor, I feel obligated to remind you that unprotected radioactive exposure will only kill you.
Okay, I did a no equipment, no item run of Fallout 4. So the main rules are no weapons, no armor, no stim packs, no chems, no nothing. And pretty much I tried to have an empty inventory aside from quest items the entire time. And I thought that was a good metric to use to prevent myself from using pretty much anything. So I went with the 10 strength build, 10 endurance, like 4 luck. And then I grabbed the Idiot Savant perk as soon as I could. So that was like my first couple of levels is like 1 luck in the Idiot Savant perk. So this is me running to Concord. I decided to do the Concord mission because normally you don't have to. But I wanted to side with the Minutemen in this case. So it's pretty easy to just run up, punch a guy, knock him out. Because we have 10 strength, but that's still the only thing actually modifying our strength. But see, you can still do quite a bit, but it almost kills me. I fall back because I need to heal. So I kind of got lucky that Preston was drawing the fire. And there's a house between Concord and the Red Rocket truck stop that has a mattress in it. So I went up there to that. It's in this house at the end. It's on the 2nd floor. It's funny that this is pretty much the only house you can go into in Concord. There's a couple of other houses with interiors, but for the most part, a lot of the Concord buildings are blocked off. So I fought myself to Garvey just fine. And he tells you to get the fusion core, use the power armor, use the minigun. You can just totally ignore that. You don't have to get anything. After this conversation, it will spawn the raiders outside the building in Concord. Even if you go out the front entrance, which I do go out the front entrance. But I end up running around to the left, so I don't really get their attention too much. Because I go back to that mattress in Concord to heal. So there's the front door. Go out the front door. There we go, I ran back to here. And then I run back to Concord, and because I practically didn't trigger anything, I did get the raiders' attention for a second, but it didn't play out the full scripted moment yet. I kind of de-aggroed them pretty quick. So you get over to here and it triggers the Death Claw. No matter what, after the raiders spawn. Just being near there triggers the Death Claw. So I hid in the building, and Preston pretty much DPS down the Death Claw. The Death Claw killed most of the raiders. I didn't really have enough damage mitigation to fight it myself, so I didn't. We get to Piper. I talked to Piper. I kind of thought it was okay to use her as a companion because enemies do bug out in this game and get pseudo invulnerability in certain situations. So, like bugs, like blood bugs especially, they'll have a wing blown off and they'll still be alive, and it'll seem like they don't have any health, but they'll be practically invulnerable. And I think you have to shoot them to kill them. So I don't know what the difference was. I think she was helping me with that. But also ceiling turrets can be just invulnerable to melee. So that's why I was kind of okay with dragging her around. The ceiling turrets aren't always invulnerable to melee, but the hitboxes get weird, and it's usually the laser turrets that get weird about that. So, but I did use Piper in combat to some extent. If you guys think that's too cheap, it's a fair point of criticism. But, you know, if I encourage anyone to do a no items, no armor, no equipment run thing. So I get them to draw fire. I draw the fire. I get them to focus on Piper, is what I mean. And it gives me enough time to run up to one of them and kill them. And this is pretty much the tactics I used all the way up to Nick. And you can fall back and heal. But at the very beginning, when I wanted to heal, I had to fast travel back to Concord. And I'm using fast travel because I'm not trying to make it as difficult as possible for me. I'm trying to do the challenge. It's on normal difficulty. I think normal's an okay standard to have, so I'm doing my challenges on normal difficulty. So I got to Nick not without too much trouble. We get to the Skinny Malone fight. I don't really have a strategy, so I just wanted to see what happens if you just run. And Nick is kind of fixed to here until the fight ends. Now there are 2 things you can do that allow you to run. So if you have a high enough charisma, which I have 1 charisma, you are more likely to pass a speech check, and Skinny Malone just lets you leave. And if you talk to Mama Murphy and you give her something, she'll give you a vision, and you can just tell Skinny Malone something and he'll let you go. But that would require me to have something in my inventory, so I didn't do that. So I kind of had this awkward thing where I was hiding behind pillars so that I could either punch him a couple of times or run away and heal when I needed to. And this is me falling back. There's a mattress really close to this part of the subway. I'm just kind of showing it off so that people know what their options are. You kind of learn where a lot of beds are when you play on survival. I usually play on survival. It makes the game more interesting to me to play it kind of like a survival game where you need to build settlements. So that's why I usually play it that way, but yeah, see, I eventually DPS'd him down. All these fights are sort of just more tedious. They aren't per se more difficult. And I think that's a significant distinction. And that's something characteristic of a lot of Bethesda-related games. At least Fallout 3, New Vegas, and 4, and definitely Oblivion and Skyrim probably true of Morrowind, like not using certain things and having a low attack stat. It doesn't so much make things difficult, just makes them tedious.
This is your friend?
Because you just chip away at health. So we went to Kellogg's house to try and find him. Obviously he's not there. And then we're trying to get Dogmeat to track him. I didn't actually meet Dogmeat yet. And Nick whistles for him to call for Dogmeat when you haven't met him yet. So Dogmeat leads you to Fort Hagen, which is on the western side of the map. And if you... I'm like level 6. So I had a little trouble because there's a Yaogwai that usually spawns on the way. And since I'm only on level 6 about, I didn't quite have the damage or damage mitigation to deal with this. But the good thing about actually going to Fort Hagen is it sets a level. It like levels the enemy sort of near-ish my current level. So it allows me to leave and then grind to a point where I'd be able to fight them better. But I did try quite a few times. And it was mostly the damage mitigation that was a problem. So I did a little bit of an exploit where you build toolboxes and fence posts for some experience. I did do a few Minuteman missions too, so it was a combination of stuff. But I did it enough so I'd have at least a couple of ranks in Iron Fist and Toughness. And I'm not saying it was the minimum for what I needed, but I might have been able to have lower ranks than 2. At level 6, I'm not sure if I even had 1. It was either 2 or 3 ranks in Iron Fist. But see, I almost get killed. Like, they really chew at you. And they're using laser weapons. So I didn't have the perk to mitigate laser weapon damage. So I did get to Kellogg. And I kind of had to do the hit and run thing again. And the problem with Kellogg is when you run, he chases you throughout the base. But I was able to de-aggro him and heal at one of the beds around the base. And this is the point where I got him cornered and kind of flinch lock him. See, he has a small window of opportunity to actually hit me. But I do manage to lock him out long enough so that he gets killed eventually. But yeah, see, it's tedious. That's not... The Skinny Malone fight was way worse in terms of being tedious. I think he has... Well, he had comparatively more health. So I do grab the brain augment and the terminal password.
You were barely human.
And then I get Piper to loot him.
See if he had anything worth taking.
Because I just wanted her to wear his armor. And you can decide if that seems a little too cheaty. But I just did it for fun because it's stuff in her inventory, and I can tell her to use stuff in her inventory. So I was mainly trying to keep most stuff out of my inventory, with the exception of quest items. See, I have 0 carry weight. I tried to have 0 carry weight at all times. I don't know if there's quest items that have carry weight, and that might be why I may have violated that. I'm not sure if I violated the 0 carry weight thing. This is the memory den. We take the brain augment, we put it in to Nick. Nick goes in the chair on the right, I go in the chair on the left. It reads his brain, and then I look at his brain, and we're trying to get information on how Kellogg was contacting with the Institute, or how he might have visited them or whatever. So this is intentionally reminiscent of the Fallout 3 VR pods. People actually hate this sequence a lot in Fallout 4 because it's like a linear walk down a hallway while things are exposited at you. Whereas in Fallout 3, the VR simulation was kind of a sandbox. And I'm not saying you can do a lot, but there are a few options in the VR Fallout 3 simulation that make people actually like that part a lot. But see, it's so like Fallout 4 to turn a sandbox thing linear and then everyone hates it. So this shows off they teleport into the Institute. I think I get some info about Virgil at some point while I'm in his head. And that's how I know Virgil is in the glowing sea and he used to be an Institute scientist, or someone tells you that. I don't remember where that exact info comes from. Or it might be Kellogg's terminal that tells you it before this part. I don't 100% remember the main quest. So I ended up grinding to a point, level 27, to get the second level of solar powered, and it allows you to passively heal radiation damage in sunlight. Now my alternative, okay, see, this is how much radiation I got just running to the cave. It would have killed me had I tried without getting to 27 first. But the alternative is to try to get enough supplies at a settlement to build an archway, a decontamination archway, and then you can heal radiation that way. But that never worked out for me. I did have scavenger stations set up, but it never paid off. This is Virgil. You talk to him. He tells you how to find a Corsair because you need a Corsair chip. And I think the Corsair chip is kind of like an IFF, like ID thing. So it makes someone look like a Corsair to the teleportation network, which is why you need the info off of it. So he actually fights almost identical to how Kellogg fights. And I think he even has 2 stealth boys, and Kellogg has 2 stealth boys. So in a weird way, Kellogg is kind of the same as the Corsairs. Now, Piper did help me a bit in this fight. But most of the time, she wasn't quite this helpful. Like, I have to fight the Mirelurk Queen later, and that pretty much instant kills anyone. So but yeah, this is how tedious the game gets if you are using low damage. So I did go to the railroad. I got them to analyze the chip. I didn't kill them or anything because I'm just siding with the Minutemen. I'm trying to go as easy as possible through this. I talked to Virgil. He gives me the teleporter plans. And with the Minutemen, you go to Sturgis to get him to tell you how to build the teleporter. And then the game gives you all the supplies you need at the settlement that Sturgis is at to build the teleporter. But before that, yeah, I had to deal with the Mirelurk Queen and clear the castle, which is the main base of the Minutemen. And I couldn't really DPS the Queen very well until it got stuck right here. Especially that acid breath almost instant kills people. So I'd pretty much run up, punch it a few times, and fall back and heal by drinking the water. And I was able to do that because of the second rank solar power perk. Like, I have a way to get rid of radiation damage. But only when I'm outside and only when it's sunny. And that was a little bit of an obstacle when I finally was making my way through the Institute, because I couldn't heal radiation damage. But this was probably the hardest boss I fought, was the Mirelurk Queen, which makes sense. So this is me finishing the build on the teleporter. And they even give you enough for the generators you need. So you can get literally all the supplies. But I'm pretty sure it's at whatever settlement Sturgis is at when you tell him. So yeah, 12 generators. So this goes by pretty easily. I think I was at level 32 by the end of the run. So right now I'm between level 27 and level 32. So I didn't try to power level past everything. I just had to hit level 27 to deal with radiation damage.
Everything looks good on my end.
I might have had the supplies to build a decontamination arc at this point, but it would have meant going to the glowing sea and not getting rid of radiation damage until now. And I would have had like 20 max health when normally I had between 350 and 400 max health during a lot of this playthrough. You know, 10 endurance, it helps you a whole lot.
We better hurry. And don't worry about that tubing wiggling around. It's just there for decoration. Okay.
So the only people you side with where the teleporter scene doesn't have a screw up like that is the Brotherhood. They actually build the plans perfectly. So this is me going in. I put in the network thing. I don't know if you have to do it. I don't think you have to for this ending, but I did it anyways. So this may not be a main quest thing. But I talked to Father. What I really should have done is punched Father and dealt with him then, because you need the Institute to be mad at you before you can complete the ending with the Minutemen. I actually got the Corsair chip installed into my Pip-Boy and then left before figuring out that's what you had to do. And I did a couple more quests for the Minutemen before figuring out that's why it wasn't progressing. So I did the intro to the institution stuff. that allows you to teleport out at a certain point. Okay, I did do the Ronnie Shaw related missions, and I don't think you have to. But see, this is me under the castle fighting Sarge. And I did manage to kill him because he gets stuck in the ceiling. And it was enough because he couldn't attack me from there. He was actually destroying me pretty easily. So I did do the artillery test too, because I wasn't sure if it was mandatory for the Minuteman ending. But I did it anyways. I only used the one smoke grenade. It's quest related, so it's quest mandatory. So I didn't take too much of an issue with that. I'm sure it's debatable if it would count or not. So I had to teleport back into the Institute and get them mad at me. So I went back in to just take care of Father. Because it has to be a named NPC that you take out. And he's just one of the more gratifying ones to deal with if you don't like the Institute. So yeah, it goes down pretty easily. So I couldn't just buy supplies to build enough turrets, but luckily in the armory there's these laser turrets, and that helped me get the defense high enough for the defend the castle mission. All the turrets actually got taken out pretty fast, even though it's only normal difficulty. I'm sure I could have been better with my placement, but I barely had the power to do this too.
This is Radio Freedom with a breaking report from the castle. Institute Senators are moving on our position.
So, this is the defend the castle mission. It started out like this, but eventually it was just me and Preston and Piper, pretty much. And I had to keep running away from the castle and running back and taking care of a guy or two, and then healing in the water by drinking it. And this is me taking on radiation damage because the sun's finally setting and I can't passively heal it. So that's how long I was doing this. This was the most tedious part of the run and kind of difficult because of it. But the most tedious and difficult enemy was the Mirelurk Queen, so all my trouble was at the castle.
It was a tough fight. I knew the Minutemen were up to the challenge.
And then after this fight, you end up going to Sturgis, and Sturgis tells you, oh, I know a way to get into the Institute. And he tells you about a water pipe. So you swim to a sewer pipe. And it's explained in lore because it's like an exhaust for the nuclear reactor in the Institute in a way. So they dump out some of the water that they use for the reactor. So normally it's just kind of gushing out water, but because they're working on the reactor, the water pipe's low at the time, making it possible for you to sneak in. And that's what this part is. So, I don't know if that keypad really opens a way, but there's a pipe down here. Yeah, it might open that pipe. Let's see. And then you kind of have to fight your way through ghouls and turrets and stuff. And then through the Institute. And I got to this part. And see, I took on a lot of radiation damage, and I didn't have a good way to get rid of it. But I noticed that decontamination arc. And I just wanted to see if I could run to the reactor, but... See, everyone shoots at me, and it takes me out really fast. So what I tried the second time is I crouched and used the decontamination arc to get rid of my excess radiation, because I was able to sneak up without them noticing. And I let my passive healing ability, which is in the Life Giver perk, it's like rank 2 of the Life Giver perk, I think. So I used that perk to heal me, while the arc got rid of my radiation damage, so I'd have enough health to make the run. The real thing that actually helped me was Preston, is the one with the flamethrower, and he ended up drawing most of the fire, giving me enough time to run into the reactor. And you have to use companions on this part, no matter what, because the game forces you. So you go in with a full complement of Minutemen, regardless. That was a plasma grenade. See, something like that could have instantly taken me out. But I was playing defensively. Just waiting for an ideal opportunity. I wanted to fully heal first. This is pretty much the very last part of the game too, if you're going through the Minuteman ending. And I mean the last part of the main quest. It's pretty much this final room. And you don't actually have to fight through it in most endings. So, see, there's the reactor. I run into the reactor, and you have to stall long enough until you can get teleported back out. So I actually managed to run out of the room in a good amount of time instead of getting shot. And then you pretty much... You talk to Preston, he tells you your kid's there, you decide what to do with the kid, and then everyone gets teleported away.
You can come right? Yes, I mean it.
And the reason why we put a charge thing on the reactor,
Fire it up.
you'll see soon.
Absolutely.
You got it. I'm gonna teleport you. Now you press that.
Even though this isn't how nuclear reactors work. So, it takes a little time. Yeah, everyone's getting slowly ported away. I think it... No, it doesn't do your kid first. I'm not sure who it does first. But there. You got me. I think this is the... it's the mass fusion building, yeah. And there's a detonator switch for the charge on the reactor. And it detonates the CIT reactor and destroys the CIT Institute base. And then it normally goes to a cutscene, but I was having a crash bug, so I just skipped the cutscene, and it lets you get to the actual ending. So this is me. So there, I did it. it'll tell me I completed the quest soon. And this is the part I was trying to make sure I got to. Because it's the quest completion
Yes.
Good.
part.
I hate that, but now the ways now. It is not awesome.
The Institute wasn't the Commonwealth.
I couldn't have said it better. The Institute.
See, and I think I did an okay job with
I
it.
don't think the
I'm perfectly happy if someone else wants to try it and do a better job with it.
gotta be time to get back to work.
But that's a no item or equipment run. That's what my main goal was. I was trying to be as minimalistic with using anything else as possible. See, there's the experience. I even got a level out of it. I'm level 33. So, and that's it.